Internet, Marcelo here, this is First Play and the rules are simple. I'm going to play a game that I've never played before and determine if it can be played relying solely on the rules book. Today is the time for Runebound 2nd edition, published by Fantasy Flight Games in 2005 and designed by Daryl Hardy and Martin Wallace. This is a very hard game to get, and I've been looking for a copy for the better part of 2 years. And I finally got one. I bought it from Noble Knight Games. The condition is nearly mint. I wonder what that means. It's still in the box, the original shipping box. And as you can see here by all the things strapped here, Brazilian Customs got very interested in what was inside of this box. So they opened it, checked it, and had me pay dearly for it. I mean, they had me pay its weight in gold for it. Not literally its weight in gold, but they made me pay very expensive for importing this. I'm going to open it right now. We're going to very briefly look into the materials, the components, because I'm betting this is going to be a very component-heavy game, and I don't want this video to be very long. And here it is, Runebound 2nd edition. Very good plus, nearly mint, unpunched. I think that's what it means. Whoever sold this to Noble Knight actually opened the box but never really punched the components, the cardboard components. So I think the only reason it's not considered mint is because it's been purchased before, maybe. I've been hearing rumors of a 3rd edition for a long time now. So far, nothing. Let's see. This is the rules book. I keep saying instructions manual. It's a rule book. It's rather thinner than I'm used to, being a Fantasy Flight Games game. Okay. Here we have the board. This is the basic game. I know the game has many small and bigger expansions. Right. And those are the unpunctured cards. I think they're still in the original... No, it isn't. Fantasy Flight Games normally has those zip bag ones. Here it is. They seem to be quite similar. No, they're a little different. Okay. Those are the miniatures, and they are the same hero miniatures, I think. They are the same hero miniatures of the Rune Wars game. I have a copy of Rune Wars. I played it quite a lot. And that's actually how I got to know about this game. Yeah, it seems it's so far I recognize those hero miniatures from the heroes from Rune Wars. The idea here, I think, is that in Rune Wars you play with armies from 4 different factions, and you hire heroes to roam about the table, the land, and find artifacts and things for you. But it's almost a secondary game to the strategy, the war game that you play. And the idea here, it seems you play with the heroes from the Rune Wars game. I don't know which game came first. I'll get to know what they mean when I read the rules book, play with my wife, and then we get back to tell you what we thought about the game and if it can be played using only the rules book. No forums, no internet, no Board Game Geek, no videos. See you guys in a couple of minutes. So, that took a while.
Yeah.
Well, something good came out of it. I don't know if people can realize by the length of our hairs that we
really fast.
Yeah, we recorded. The first third and the second third of this episode a while ago, weeks ago. We never came around to the time to do this.
We played this game a lot because it's a really, really fun game.
We could really appreciate the rules, the manual, the nuances. Is that how you say that? Nuances? The minutia, the details, the minutia of the game. So what, after playing, I don't know, we played half a dozen times, maybe more, with different people even.
Yeah, with different people.
What do you think of the game?
It's a really fun game. It's easy to play, and you can play with different aspects of the game. It's a game that you play with heroes, and you can just play your game and go see the board and the cities, and you can also play going after the other heroes and make small battles and trying to take their artifacts or
take their stuff.
They take their stuff.
Yeah, it's a game about killing things and taking their stuff.
Or not.
Although the game is a competitive game, I don't think this game is neither competitive nor cooperative. You can play by yourself. I think it's the most important aspect of the game. Although we played with 3 people, with 4 people, only both of us a couple of times. You play your game if you want. You can completely ignore the other players. Or you can work with them toward the goal, or you can work against them. If you decide that their stuff is a little too valuable and you want it, you can just go there and do it with them. A lot of people might think that's counterintuitive because you are working towards the goal of defeating the end villain. In the case of the story of the base set, there are expansions that bring different stories. But I don't think so. The game is fun, even if you lose. I was really taken aback by this game because I've heard about this game a lot. That's one of the reasons I wanted this game very much. But I knew very little of the game. Everything I knew of the game, it is that it's on the same world of Rune Wars. And in it you play with the heroes from Rune Wars. In the Rune Wars you play with armies, and there is a phase in the game in which you control the heroes.
And the heroes are there.
Yeah, but it's kind of mini game. It's kind of a mini game.
Yeah,
inside the greater scheme of Rune Wars. But in Runebound, the game is completely different.
Yeah.
It's the best role-playing game experience I've had with a board game. It's very different than Descent, for example. I cannot compare, although they both take place on the same world. The rules are very different, and I'd rather play this than play most fantasy RPGs out there, because you don't need a DM. And you can play with a lot of different. You can play by yourself.
I'd rather play Runebound than Rune Wars.
Yeah. You love the game.
I love the game.
It's a typical Fantasy Flight game, which means that the structural manual is not very. It's not very well done.
No.
It's a little confusing if you need to find minute rules. Not so much if you compare it with other Fantasy Flight games. And it's less confusing than normal. Anyhow, it's still a little confusing. And the advantage of having played more than half a dozen times before we came here to record this is that we could really scour the instruction manual and be sure that we weren't doing anything wrong. My youngest brother, when he played, he actually kept the rules book to flip it through and to look it through instead of us doing that. Yeah. Because he was curious about some of the more arcane rules of the game, which aren't many. Even he suggested that it was a very simple, very straightforward game to play. Very little confusing rules. You don't actually need to go through the instruction manual very often. Although if you do, you will find out that perhaps you're doing a couple of rules in the wrong way after you play a couple of times.
That's common.
That's typical Fantasy Flight game, yeah. In my opinion, this game passes the first play experience. I think it can be played relying solely on the instructions manual without having to check rules or strategies or walkthroughs or facts on the internet. I know about you, what you think.
Yeah, I agree with you.
There was one thing that I needed to check. It was one of the variant rules. The game comes with many variant rules, so you can tweak the game to have a flavor more akin to your liking.
Let's make it more fun.
Yeah, even more fun, because you can decide to have a harder game, an easier game, a lengthier game, a shorter game.
Yeah.
One of the variants is the item limit. That sounded a little confusing because it's only one paragraph and one example. And the example makes the explanation in the paragraph a little more confusing than if we had to rely only on the paragraph explaining the rules. But I went to Board Game Geek and I realized that what is written here, it is what it is. There's no interpretation here. It makes the game at the same time easier and harder because it completely changed the rules of items, the item limit rules that you have. So even that sounded confusing, it actually didn't. I was trying to see more than it was in here.
It's a very good game, and I think it's one of the most played games we've had.
Yeah, if you consider that it's the one that sees the most amount of table time. And also, it's a very long game if you want it to be long. Okay, so that's it for Runebound. It passes the first play test. Congratulations, Fantasy Flight, you have our seal of approval.
Yeah.
All right.
Right. This is Marcelo. I'm Luciana.
And we are the Gamerati. See you guys next time.